Hello and welcome to The Breakdown. You're on ThePapare.com, where we look back at exactly what happened over the last weekend of Dialog A Division Rugby. What a weekend it was. Everyone's playing for second place at the moment. Candy way out in front, but let's look what happened in the middle of the table. We had 4 games down for decision, Candy way out in front, and that didn't change much at all. We had Candy taking on Air Force, and that match finished 64 points to 12. Air Force didn't manage to score a single point in the second half, and Candy managed to dominate, and 64 points was what they ended up with, and still are 3 top try scorers with Candy, and you can see that that's no surprise. They are way out in front, but let's look at exactly what's happening below that. There's a host of permutations that could happen, because any team could come up and maybe now grab second spot, third spot, fourth spot. It's all up for grabs here in the Dialog Rugby A Division League. Let's look at one of our big games. We had CRNFC taking on Police, and that looked like it was going to be a comfortable win for CR, 26 points to 10 at halftime, but then suddenly the young CR team just took their foot off the gas and allowed Police right back into the game. 33 points to 31 was how that one finished. CR outscored by 21 points to 7 in that second half. That's not something that they're going to be too happy about at all, especially taking on Candy this weekend. Then we had Havelocks taking on CH, and what a game that was. It was an absolute stunner. It was really close right down to the whistle, and CH somehow managed to find that second half gas. Terence Henry outstanding in a man of the match performance as well, led from the front, didn't do too well in the scrums against that formidable Havelocks 8, but in terms of defense and really pressuring the breakdown, we saw that Terence Henry's experience and Sajid Saranga's experience was really good for CHNFC. They managed to come through and win that one 27 points to 25 after trailing 25-13 at halftime. So Havelocks once again couldn't get a single point on the board in the second half. That's something that will worry them as well when they go into try and defend that second place that they're hanging on to by a whisker at the moment. Then we had Navy taking on Army. That was what I thought was going to be the match of the weekend last week, and it certainly turned out to be that, because we saw some outstanding tries scored by not just one team, both teams. We saw Army scoring a superb try. We saw Navy's first try was also a brilliant one, and the one to win the game from Tirana Veerasinghe as well was a stunning try, and Mohammad Afzal can take a lot of credit for the options that he's taking. The length on his pass is just so good. He beats defenders with that flat pass across the face of the line, and that's really outstanding skill to have. And Afzal takes a lot of good options, takes a few bad ones as well, but I think the coach will be happy with the amount, the ratio of good to bad options that he's taken. And what really won that game for Navy, 28 points to 10, was the fact that they shut Army out completely in the second half. So 3 teams all failing to score or not scoring too much in the second half this weekend, and that's something that will be a factor that we look forward going into the next round of games. Is this a conditioning thing? Is it the fact that teams are not able to put 80 minutes of rugby together? What's going on with these teams who are not scoring second half points? That's something that their coaches will want to have a look at as well. So that's the story from the results that we had. Let's look ahead at our top performers. In the point scoring category, we have Tirana Veerasinghe, who scored 2 tries over the weekend, added to his kicking tally, and he's passed 100 points for the 3rd consecutive time in the Dialog Rugby A Division League. So a big pat on the back for Tirana Veerasinghe. If he gets his conditioning right, he's probably a shoe-in for that Sri Lanka fullback position, but he's got a bit of challenge coming from another Tirana Vijayasinghe, who has 88 points, and he didn't start all the games for Candy, which is why he's a little bit behind, but he brings a lot of flair to the park when he's on, and Nigel Ratwatta is playing at 10. We have Samuel Madhuwantha as well, who was instrumental in that CHNFC victory over Havelocks over the course of the weekend. Played the territorial game a shade better than his more experienced counterpart Reza Mubarak, who was in charge of the kicking for Havelocks. So I thought his option taking as well as the territorial game was bang on from Samuel Madhuwantha. So those are our top point scorers in the league so far. Let's look at our try scorers as well, and we have Anuruddha Villavara, Anushka Ranjan and Richard Dharmapala on 10, 8 and 6 tries. So that's the top 3 players, all from that Candy line, and with Nigel Ratwatta or Fazil Marija inside and Gahan Veeraratna being absolutely brilliant in distributing the ball to these outside backs. There's no surprise really that these guys are your top try scorers, all from the same team. Candy way out ahead. let's look at what's coming up and how that's going to impact our points table going forward. And the first match that we have down for decision on Friday is the match between CHNFC and Air Force at the Racecourse grounds, and look for CH to build on that victory that they had last week. That's something they couldn't do in the first round. Let's see whether they're able to really consolidate and come closer and closer to Havelocks in that second position. Then we have Kandy taking on CRNFC, their arch rivals in Nithavala. CRNFC have been one of the favorites of the Nithavala crowd when they ever travel up, but I don't think that it's going to be a happy journey for CR, given the way that they have been playing and given the gulf that Kandy has put between themselves and other teams. But there's always room for an upset. Is this going to be the one, or are Kandy going to remain unbeaten throughout the end of the season? Either way, there's plenty of work for CR to be doing. Their defense has to improve leaps and bounds, and that's something that they have been working on in practice this week. So let's see how that goes as well. Then we have Police taking on Navy at Police Park. Police will be buoyed by what they did against CRNFC, coming back into that game, nearly snatching it at the death. And Navy, after a big win against Army over the last weekend, they might be a little bit fatigued. They did have to put in a lot of hard yards in that game. So is Police going to profit from that? Let's wait and see. If Navy are at full strength, they'll probably be able to take that game, but that's going to be an important one for that decision in second place as well. Then we have probably what's going to be the game of the weekend. We have Havelocks taking on Army. Army looking a little lackluster over the course of last weekend because they've lost Mohammad Rizvi, and that combination with Ashan Bandara seemed to be working really well. And Rizvi, unfortunately, is out for 3 games because of that silly stamp that he put and got a red card. So this is why it's so important, because it could cost your team an entire season if you're suspended for 3 games and get red carded for foul play. So that's going to be weighing on Niloufar Ibrahim's mind. Let's see what he comes up with, what his game plan is going to be. He would have watched Havelocks very carefully against Navy, and I'm sure that he would be very certain of what the game plan is that he wants to adopt, and I'm sure that Army are not going to go down without a fight. So that game is going to have an impact on that second place position as well. Let's look at what the points table looks like. So the leaderboard looks something like this. We have Kandy way out in front with 52 points, but then with a massive gap next we have Havelocks, who are still holding on to that second position despite the 3 losses that they have already. Havies on 36 points and Navy very close behind on 34. So if Havelocks lose and Navy win this weekend, then Navy will leapfrog into second position. So that's why that Army versus Havelocks game is going to be really important as well, because Havies know that if they lose that match, they could surrender their second place position at the moment, and that's really what they are playing for. We have CRNFC in fourth place rather, with 30 points, and CHNFC really close behind them on 28 points as well. So it's unlikely that CR are going to move much further above that point. So CH will look at this opportunity against Air Force to try and leapfrog and get above CRNFC in the leaderboard as well. So that's going to have a lot of permutations for how this league finishes up. So let's see how this weekend's matches go. You're on thepapare.com.